There is a moment, a very specific moment, when everything in your life feels like it's standing still, yet something deep inside your spirit whispers, something is about to change. You felt it, haven't you? That strained tension between exhaustion and expectation. That quiet ache in your chest that says you're tired of waiting but not ready to give up. This message has found you in that exact moment. Not by accident, not by coincidence, but by divine appointment. Listen closely, because this is not just another message scrolling past your eyes. This is a spiritual interruption, a divine whisper cutting through the noise of your doubt, your delay, your confusion. And it is asking you one question. What if everything you've been praying for is already on its way and you're closer than you think? You've been waiting for the breakthrough, waiting for the answer, waiting for that one sign that tells you, yes, it's finally happening. And in that waiting, something has tried to convince you that maybe it's not coming at all. Maybe it was just wishful thinking. Maybe you misunderstood the signs. Maybe you're asking for too much. But hear this clearly. Those thoughts were never yours. They were planted to slow you down right before your miracle steps in. Because here's what you need to understand right now. Miracles rarely arrive when everything looks perfect. They come when things feel uncertain. They come when doors seem closed. They come when your strength feels stretched to its limit. That's why this moment feels so heavy, because it's not the end. It's the edge. The edge of transformation. The edge of divine movement. The edge of something you've been crying out for in silence. And let me ask you something deeply personal. Have you noticed the signs? The subtle shifts? The way certain things that once held you back are starting to lose their grip? The way your perspective is changing, even when your situation hasn't fully caught up yet? That's not random. That's alignment. That's heaven quietly rearranging things behind the scenes, preparing the exact moment your miracle will step into your reality. You may not see it yet, but something is already moving. Conversations are aligning. Opportunities are forming. Doors you thought were permanently closed are being touched by unseen hands. And while you've been questioning, wondering, even doubting, something powerful has been building in your favor. But here's the truth most people miss. The closer you get to your miracle, the more intense the pressure can feel. The more doubt tries to creep in. The more distractions try to pull your attention away. Why? Because you are nearing something significant. Something life-altering. Something that will shift not just your situation, but your entire direction. You didn't come this far to turn back now. You didn't endure everything you've endured just to stop right at the threshold. No, there is purpose in your patience. There is meaning in your delay. And there is a miracle with your name on it that has not been canceled, not been forgotten, not been reassigned. Right now, in this very moment, something is being activated. Something is being released. And you are being called to do one thing. Stay aware. Stay open. Stay ready. Because what's about to unfold will make sense of everything you've been through. You are not behind. You are not forgotten. You are not overlooked. You are positioned. And the miracle you've been waiting for is closer than you think. Type "I am ready" in the comments if you feel this message aligning with your spirit. Blessing code 1010 is now activated around you. There is a reason it hasn't happened yet. And no, it's not because you were forgotten. It's not because you weren't worthy. And it's definitely not because heaven ignored your prayers. The delay you've been experiencing, it has a deeper root. A hidden layer that most people never pause long enough to understand. And right now, you are being invited to see it clearly. Because if you're honest with yourself, there have been moments where you questioned everything. Moments where you wondered, why is this taking so long? Moments where you compared your journey to others and felt like you were falling behind. You watched doors open for people around you while yours remained shut. You saw progress in others while you felt stuck in place. And slowly, quietly, frustration tried to settle into your spirit. But what if the delay was never denial? What if the delay was protection? There are things that were not ready for you yet, and more importantly, there were parts of you that needed to be strengthened before you stepped into what you asked for. Because the truth is, a miracle doesn't yet change your situation, it changes you. It elevates you. It stretches you. And if it arrived too early, it could have overwhelmed you instead of blessing you. You see, there have been unseen forces at work, not against you, but around you. Situation being rearranged. People being moved. Paths being redirected. Even certain doors being held closed intentionally, because what was behind them was not aligned with where you are meant to go. And while it felt like rejection, it was actually redirection. While it felt like loss, it was actually preservation. Think about the times something didn't work out the way you wanted. The opportunities that slipped through your hands. The relationships that fell apart. The plans that suddenly changed without warning. At the time, it felt confusing. It felt unfair. But now, if you look closely, you'll begin to see something different. You'll begin to realize that some of those missed chances were actually divine interventions. Because not everything that looks good is meant for you. Not every open door leads to purpose. And not every opportunity carries the blessing you think it does. Some things come dressed as answers but carry consequences you cannot yet see. And so, the delay stepped in as a shield. Quietly, firmly, redirecting your path without fully explaining why. And then there is something even deeper, something internal. Because delays are not always external. Sometimes, they are connected to what is happening within you. The fears you haven't fully released. The doubts that still whisper in your quiet moments. The habits, the thought patterns, the emotional weight you've been carrying. These things matter more than you realize, because your miracle requires a certain level of alignment, not perfection, but readiness. There were moments when you almost stepped into something too soon. Moments when you thought you were ready, but your spirit was still being prepared. And instead of allowing you to walk into something prematurely, life slowed down. Not to punish you, but to refine you. To build your patience. To deepen your faith. To strengthen your awareness so that when the right moment comes, you don't just receive the miracle, you sustain it. You were being shaped in the waiting. And I know waiting is uncomfortable. It stretches your trust. It challenges your belief. It forces you to sit in uncertainty when all you want is clarity. But within that waiting, something powerful has been happening. You've been growing in ways you didn't even notice. You've been shedding things that could have held you back later. You've been learning lessons that will soon make perfect sense. Nothing about your delay has been wasted. Every moment, every pause, every unanswered question has been part of a larger design, one that is now beginning to unfold. Because delays don't last forever. They exist for a purpose, and once that purpose is fulfilled, movement begins. And that is where you are now. Right on the edge of transition. The blockages are not permanent. The silence is not final. The waiting is not endless. Something has shifted, even if you cannot fully see it yet. The things that once slowed you down are starting to lose their hold. The resistance is weakening. The path is quietly clearing. And soon, very soon, what once felt delayed will begin to move with unexpected speed. So do not lose heart now. Do not step back when everything is about to step forward. Do not doubt yourself when clarity is closer than ever before. Because the truth is this: the delay was never here to stop you. It was here to prepare you. Type "I trust the timing" in the comments if you receive this message. Blessing code 2020 is now activated around your path. There comes a moment, a quiet but undeniable moment, when everything begins to shift. Not loudly, not dramatically, but deeply. And if you pay attention, you can feel it. It's subtle yet powerful. It's not something you see immediately with your eyes, but something you sense within your spirit. And that is exactly where you are right now. You are standing in the middle of a shift. Because something has changed. You may not be able to explain it fully, but you can feel it. The same situations that once drained you no longer have the same effect. The same thoughts that once held you captive are beginning to loosen their grip. Even the way you respond to challenges feels different. There is a calmness rising where there used to be chaos. A quiet confidence forming where there used to be doubt. That is not random. That is not coincidence. That is the beginning of alignment. You see, before a miracle manifests in your physical world, it first begins in the unseen. It starts as a shift in energy, a movement in the spiritual realm, a rearranging of circumstances that you cannot yet fully perceive. And what you are feeling right now is the evidence of that unseen movement. Something is being repositioned in your favor. Have you noticed how certain things are falling away without force? Connections that once felt permanent are naturally fading. Situations that once demanded your attention are no longer pulling at you the same way. Even distractions that once consumed your time are losing their appeal. That is not loss. That is release. That is the clearing of space for something greater to enter. And at the same time, something else is happening. There are new thoughts entering your mind. New ideas. New perspectives. You're beginning to see possibilities where you once saw limitations. You're starting to feel a sense of direction, even if it's not fully clear yet. It's like pieces of a puzzle slowly coming together. That is not imagination. That is preparation. Because when a shift begins, it does not just change your external world, it changes you first. It sharpens your awareness. It strengthens your intuition. It aligns your mindset with where you are about to go. And that is exactly what is happening now. But here is what you must understand: shifts often feel uncomfortable before they feel exciting. Because as things begin to change, there can be moments of uncertainty. Moments where you feel like you are in between two versions of your life. The old is no longer fitting, but the new has not fully arrived yet. That space can feel confusing. It can feel unstable. But it is necessary. You are not lost in this moment. You are transitioning. And transitions are never meant to be permanent. They are temporary bridges between where you were and where you are going. And right now, you are crossing that bridge. That is why certain emotions have been surfacing. That is why you have been reflecting more deeply. That is why you have been questioning things you once accepted without hesitation. Because clarity is being formed. Awareness is being heightened. You are being prepared to recognize your miracle when it arrives. Because here is the truth: your miracle will not come disguised as something you are not ready to receive. It will come in a way that aligns with who you are becoming. And that is why this shift matters so much. Because it is not just about what is coming. It is about who you are becoming in the process. You are becoming more aware, more grounded, more aligned. And that version of you is capable of receiving what you have been asking for. And now, the signs are becoming clearer. Small moments of confirmation. Unexpected opportunities. sudden clarity where there was once confusion. These are not random events. These are signals, indicators that movement has already begun. You are not waiting anymore. You are stepping into it. So do not doubt this moment. Do not question the subtle changes you feel within yourself. Do not ignore the quiet sense of knowing that something is about to happen. Because it is. And you are closer now than you have ever been before. Stay present. Stay aware. Stay open. Because this shift is not just the beginning of change, it is the beginning of your miracle unfolding. Type I see the signs in the comments if you feel this shift happening. Blessing code 3030 is now activated around your life. And as this shift begins to unfold, understand this: every time you choose to support this message, you are not simply giving. You are planting a seed into someone else's awakening. You are becoming part of a divine harvest, where light reaches those still walking in confusion. The word declares, "Give, and it shall be given unto you." And right now, that promise is alive and breathing over your life. I feel led to say this directly. Step into this moment, not with hesitation, but with faith. Your support through PayPal, found in the video description or through the QR code on your screen, is not just a transaction. It is a prophetic act of alignment. You are helping this message travel further, reach deeper, and transform lives that are waiting for their breakthrough. As you sow, heaven responds. As you give, doors begin to open. So move now, in obedience, and watch how your generosity becomes the very channel through which your own miracle multiplies. There has been a battle, a quiet, unseen battle unfolding around your life, and you didn't even realize the depth of it. Not because you were unaware, but because it was never meant to be fully visible to your physical eyes. Yet your spirit had been sensing it all along. That tension you couldn't explain. That heaviness that came without warning. This sudden wave of doubt that appeared out of nowhere. Those were not random moments. Those were signals of something deeper happening behind the scenes. Because every time you move closer to something meaningful, something aligned with your purpose, resistance begins to rise. Not always in obvious ways, not always through direct obstacles, but through subtle distractions. Distractions that pull your focus. Thoughts that challenge your belief. Situation that test your patience. It's not coincidence. It's conflict between where you are and where you are meant to be. You see, what you've been walking through is not just delay or difficulty. It has been preparation under pressure. A refining process that has required you to stand firm even when things felt uncertain. And in that process, there have been moments when it felt like everything was working against you. Like every time you took a step forward, something tried to pull you back. That feeling, that resistance, that was the battle. But here is what you must understand now. The presence of resistance is not proof that you are on the wrong path. It is often confirmation that you are moving in the right direction. Because if nothing significant was ahead of you, there would be nothing pushing against you. Think about it. The closer you got to clarity, the louder the confusion became. The closer you got to peace, the stronger the distractions felt. The closer you got to making a breakthrough, the more intense the doubt tried to become. That pattern is not accidental. It is strategic. Because when something meaningful is about to unfold in your life, there is always an attempt to disrupt your focus before it arrives. And yet, despite all of that, you are still here. You didn't give up. You didn't walk away. You didn't completely lose your faith, even in the moments when it felt shaken. And that matters more than you realize. Because the real battle was never just about your circumstances. It was about your mindset, your belief, your ability to hold on when things didn't make sense, and you pass through that, you are still standing. That alone tells you something powerful. Whatever was meant to stop you has already failed. Because if it had succeeded, you would not be here right now, listening, reflecting, recognizing that something is shifting. The fact that you are still present means you have already moved through the hardest part of the resistance. But here is where things become even more important. Because as the battle begins to fade, clarity begins to rise. You are starting to see things differently. You are beginning to recognize patterns you didn't notice before. You are becoming more aware of what drains you and what strengthens you. That awareness is not random. It is the result of everything you just moved through. You've been sharpened. And now, you are no longer as easily distracted. You are no longer as easily discouraged. You are no longer as easily pulled off your path. That is growth. That is strength. That is transformation. But understand this clearly: the battle behind the scenes was never meant to destroy you. It was meant to reveal you, to show you your resilience, to show you your strength, to show you that even in moments of uncertainty, you are capable of continuing forward. And now, because you didn't give up, because you didn't turn back, something is about to open. The resistance that once felt overwhelming is losing its hold. The noise that once filled your mind is quieting. The confusion that once clouded your direction is clearing. And in its place, something new is emerging. Clarity. Direction. Movement. This is the moment where everything begins to shift from internal to external, from unseen to seen, from preparation to manifestation. But remember this: the battle may have been hidden, but your growth was not. You have changed. You have strengthened. You have aligned. And now, because of that, you are ready for what comes next. So do not look back at the struggle with frustration. Do not question why it had to be difficult. Instead, recognize what it has done for you. Recognize how it has prepared you for this exact moment. Because the battle is no longer ahead of you. It is behind you. And what stands in front of you now is the beginning of something you've been waiting for. Type "I have overcome" in the comments if you receive this message. Lesson code 4040 is now activated around your strength. Here comes a moment in every journey, a moment where the pressure feels almost unbearable. A moment where everything seems to intensify at once. And if you're honest, you've been feeling it lately. The weight has been heavier. The emotions have been stronger. The challenges have felt closer, tighter, more personal. It's as if everything decided to rise at the same time, demanding your attention, testing your patience, stretching your strength. And you've wondered why now. Why, when you've come this far, does it suddenly feel harder? Why, when you're trying to stay focused, do distractions seem louder? Why, when you're holding on, does it feel like everything is pulling at you all at once? But here's the truth that changes everything. This pressure is not here to break you. It is revealing that you are at your breaking point for a reason. Because breaking points are not endings. They are thresholds. They are the exact moments where everything that can no longer go with you begins to fall away. The exact moments where old patterns, old fears, old limitations reach their final stand before they collapse completely. That's why it feels intense. That's why it feels overwhelming. Because you are not just facing pressure, you are facing the final layer of what has been holding you back. Think about it. The things that are challenging you right now, they are not new. They are familiar. They are patterns you've seen before, emotions you've felt before, thoughts that have visited you in different forms. But this time, it feels different. This time, it feels amplified. Because this is not the beginning of the pattern. This is the end of it. and endings are rarely quiet. They rise. They push. They demand attention before they dissolve. And that is exactly what you are experiencing. The last resistance before release. The final tension before transformation. The closing chapter before the new one begins. That is why your patience has been tested more than usual. That is why your emotions have felt closer to the surface. That is why even small situations have felt heavier than they should. Because everything that is not aligned with where you are going is being brought up, not to stay, but to leave. You are being asked to see it clearly now, to recognize what no longer belongs in your life, to acknowledge what has been draining your energy, to finally release what you have been holding onto out of habit, comfort, or fear. Because what is coming next cannot carry the weight of what you are leaving behind. And that is why this moment matters so much. Because how you respond to this pressure will determine how you step into what is next. You can either see this moment as something that is happening to you, or you can recognize it as something that is happening for you. A necessary clearing. A final refinement. A moment designed to push you into full alignment. And deep down, you already know this. You can feel that something is ending. You can sense that something is shifting. Even in the middle of the pressure, there is a quiet awareness that this is not permanent. That this is leading somewhere. That this is preparing you for something more. That awareness is your confirmation. Because breaking points are not random. They arrive at precise moments, right before something changes. Right before clarity replaces confusion. Right before movement replaces stagnation. Right before everything you've been waiting for begins to take form. And here is the part you must hold on to now. You are stronger than this moment. Not because the pressure isn't real, but because you have already proven your ability to move through it. You have faced difficult moments before. You have carried weight before. You have navigated uncertainty before. And every time, you found a way forward. This time is no different. In fact, this time is different in one important way. You are more aware than you have ever been before. You see things more clearly. You understand yourself more deeply. You recognize what matters and what doesn't. That awareness is your advantage. That awareness is what will carry you through this final stretch. Because you are not being pushed to your limit to fail. You are being pushed to your limit to transform. To step beyond what you thought you could handle. To release what you thought you needed. To rise into a version of yourself that is fully ready for what is coming next. So do not resist this moment. Do not fear the pressure. Do not interpret the intensity as a sign to step back. Instead, recognize it for what it is, a signal. A signal that you are closer than ever. A signal that something is about to shift. A signal that this breaking point is not your end, it is your breakthrough. Type "I am breaking through" in the comments if you receive this message. Lesson code 5050 is now activated around your transformation. There is something happening right now that you may not fully see yet, but you can feel it if you slow down long enough to notice. Things are shifting into place. Not randomly, not chaotically, but with precision. And even though it may look like certain areas of your life are still uncertain, underneath it all, something is aligning with exact timing. Because alignment does not always look like progress at first. Sometimes it looks like pause. Sometimes it looks like separation. Sometimes it looks like things falling apart in ways you didn't expect. And in those moments, it's easy to misunderstand what is really happening. It's easy to assume that something is going wrong, when in reality, everything is being adjusted to go right. You have been in a season of repositioning, not punishment, not delay for the sake of delay, but intentional movement, subtle, strategic, necessary movement that is guiding you towards something that requires you to be in the right place, with the right mindset, at the right time. Think about the changes you've experienced recently, the shifts in your environment, the way certain people have drifted out of your life, the way some plans no longer feel aligned the way they once did. At one point, you may have tried to hold on to those things. You may have questioned why they were changing. But now, something within you is starting to accept it. That acceptance is part of the alignment. Because what is meant for your next season cannot be built on what belonged to your past one. And that is why certain things had to move. You were not losing what mattered. You were being redirected toward what does. And here is where it becomes even more important to understand what is happening. Because alignment is not just about what is being removed. It is also about what is being introduced. New thoughts, new ideas, new opportunities that feel different from what you are used to. You may not fully trust them yet. You may not fully understand where they are leading. But there is something about them that feels right. Subtle but real. Quiet but steady. It is alignment beginning to reveal itself. Because when things are aligned, they do not always arrive with noise. They arrive with clarity. A sense of knowing that doesn't require constant questioning. A direction that feels natural instead of forced. And you are beginning to feel that now. But here is the part that many people overlook. Alignment requires cooperation. It is not something that simply happens around you while you remain the same. It requires you to move with it. To release what you have already outgrown. To trust what you are being guided toward, even if it doesn't look exactly like what you expected. That is where your awareness becomes crucial. Because you are now at a point where you can either move with the alignment or resist it. And resistance does not always look like saying no. Sometimes, it looks like hesitation, overthinking, holding on to what is familiar because it feels safe, even when you know it no longer fits. But deep down, you already know what is shifting. You can feel what is no longer aligned. You can sense what is trying to enter your life. You are not as uncertain as you think. You are becoming more aware. And that awareness is guiding you toward the exact position you need to be in for what is coming next. Because what is coming requires precision. It requires you to be ready, not just externally, but internally, mentally, emotionally, spiritually aligned with the direction your life is taking. And that is exactly what is happening right now. You are being positioned. Every delay, every shift, every moment of uncertainty had been part of this repositioning, bringing you closer to the exact place where everything begins to connect. And soon, it will start to make sense. The pieces that felt scattered will begin to come together. The questions that felt unanswered will begin to resolve. The direction that felt unclear will begin to reveal itself. But for now, your role is simple. Trust the movement. Trust what is leaving. Trust what is arriving. And most importantly, trust yourself. Because you are not being moved randomly. You are being guided. And where you are being positioned right now is exactly where your next breakthrough is waiting for you. Type "I am aligned" in the comments if you receive this message. Blessing code 6060 is now activated around your path. There is a question that has echoed quietly in your spirit more times than you can count. Why did I have to wait this long? Not just a casual thought, but a deep, searching question that came in moments of stillness, in moments of frustration, in moments when you felt ready but nothing seemed to move. And the answer to that question is not simple, because the waiting you've experienced was never just about time. It was about transformation. Because waiting is not empty. Waiting is active. Even when it looks like nothing is happening, something is always unfolding beneath the surface. Something is being built within you that could not have been built any other way. And that is what makes this part of your journey so important, even if it was the most uncomfortable. You were not asked to wait because you were unworthy. You were asked to wait because you were being prepared for something that required a stronger version of you. Think about who you were when this journey first began. Think about how you responded to uncertainty, how you handled pressure, how you viewed yourself, how you reacted when things didn't go your way. And now, look at who you are in this moment. There is a difference. Maybe not perfect, maybe not complete, but real. You are more aware. You are more grounded. You are more resilient. That change did not happen instantly. It happened in the waiting. Because waiting forces you to confront yourself. It removes distractions. It brings your thoughts, your fears, your beliefs to the surface. It asks you to sit with uncertainty and still choose to move forward. And that is not easy. That is one of the hardest things a person can do. But you did it. Even when you questioned. Even when you doubted. Even when you felt tired. You stayed. And that matters more than you realize. Because what you were building in that waiting was not just patience. It was trust. Not blind trust, but tested trust. The kind of trust that doesn't disappear the moment things feel uncertain. The kind of trust that remains steady even when you don't have all the answers. That kind of trust is what allows you to hold on to your direction when everything around you feels unclear. And that is exactly why the waiting was necessary. Because what is coming next in your life will require that level of trust. There will be moments where you will need to move without having every detail. Moments where you will need to make decisions based on clarity that comes from within, not just from what you can see externally. And without the waiting, that kind of confidence would not exist. You would second-guess yourself. You would hesitate. You would hold back. But now you are different. Now, you have learned how to remain steady even when things are uncertain. Now, you have learned how to keep going even when progress is not immediately visible. Now, you have learned how to trust the process, even when you don't fully understand it. That is the real purpose of the waiting. It was never just about reaching the destination. It was about becoming the person who can sustain what is waiting at the destination. Because receiving something is one thing, maintaining it is another. And the waiting has prepared you for both. But here is the part that you need to hear clearly now. The waiting season is not where you are anymore. You have moved through it. You have completed what it was meant to teach you. And that is why things are beginning to shift. That is why alignment is taking place. That is why the pressure reached its peak and is now beginning to release. Because the test has already been passed. You are no longer being asked to prove your patience. You are being positioned to experience movement. And that is a completely different phase. A phase where things begin to respond to you differently. Where opportunities begin to appear. Where clarity becomes more consistent. Where the direction you have been seeking begins to reveal itself in ways that feel natural instead of forced. But even now, as you step into this next phase, the lesson of the waiting remains important. Because it becomes your foundation. It becomes the reason you don't panic when things are not immediate. It becomes the reason you trust yourself when decisions need to be made. It becomes the reason you stay grounded, even when everything begins to move quickly. And that is what will keep you aligned moving forward. So do not look back at the waiting with frustration. Do not see it as time lost. See it as time invested. Time that has now prepared you for what is about to unfold. Because the truth is this: you were not waiting for your miracle. Your miracle was waiting for you to be ready. And now you are. Type "I trust my journey" in the comments if you receive this message. Blessing code 7070 is now activated around your faith. There is a moment, a precise, undeniable moment when everything you have been preparing for finally begins to move. Not slowly, not uncertainly, but with a clarity and momentum that feels almost surreal compared to everything that came before it. And that moment is closer than you realize. In fact, you are already standing at the edge of it. Because something has shifted, not just within you but around you. The weight has done its work. The pressure has revealed what needed to be released. The alignment has positioned you exactly where you need to be. And now, what was once being held back is beginning to open. This is the moment of release. And you may not recognize it at first, because it doesn't always arrive with a dramatic announcement. Sometimes, it begins quietly. A door opens that you didn't expect. A conversation unfolds in a way that changes direction. An opportunity appears that feels aligned without forcing it. Small at first but significant. That is how manifestation begins. Not as one overwhelming event, but as a series of aligned movements that build upon each other. And the key is this: you must be present enough to recognize it. Because after everything you've been through, there can be a tendency to question good things when they finally arrive. To hesitate. To wonder if it's real. To second guess whether this is truly the moment you've been waiting for. But this is where your awareness becomes your strength. You are no longer the same person who started this journey. You are clear. You are stronger. You are more aligned. And because of that, you are able to recognize what belongs to you when it appears. This is not about chasing something anymore. This is about receiving what is already moving toward you. And that requires a different mindset. It requires openness instead of resistance. Trust instead of hesitation. Presence instead of overthinking. Because what is being released now is not random. It is the result of everything that has come before this moment. Every lesson, every delay, every moment of growth has led to this opening. And now it is here. But here is what you must understand clearly: manifestation requires participation. You are not just observing this shift. You are part of it. Your actions, your decisions, your willingness to step forward when opportunities appear, all of that matters now more than ever. Because this is where movement becomes visible. This is where things begin to take form in your reality. And it may happen faster than you expect. Because once the blockages are removed, once alignment is in place, things can accelerate quickly. Opportunities can stack. Progress can build. Clarity can deepen. And suddenly, everything that felt delayed begins to move with a speed that surprises you. Do not let that overwhelm you. Let it confirm what you already know. You are ready. This is why the waiting had to happen. This is why the pressure reached its peak. This is why the alignment took time. Because now, you are able to move with what is unfolding instead of resisting it. And that is what allows the miracle to manifest fully. So as things begin to open, stay grounded. Stay aware. Stay connected to the version of yourself that you have become through this journey. Because that is what will guide you through this next phase. You do not need to force anything. You do not need to chase anything. You simply need to respond. Respond to the opportunities. Respond to the clarity. Respond to the movement that is already happening. Because this is no longer about waiting for something to happen. It is about recognizing that it already is. You are stepping into it. Right now. This is the moment where everything begins to shift from possibility to reality, from expectation to experience, from waiting to receiving. And the more you trust this moment, the more you allow yourself to move with it, the more fully it will unfold in your life. So do not hesitate now. Do not doubt now. Do not step back when everything is stepping forward, because this is it, the moment you've been preparing for, a moment where your miracle begins to take form. Type "I receive my miracle" in the comments if you receive this message. Blessing code 8080 is now activated around your life. And as this moment of release unfolds, understand this truth: every seed you sow becomes a spark of light in someone else's darkness. When you support this mission through PayPal, you are not giving to a voice. You are fueling a movement that carries truth to souls searching for clarity. The word declares, "Cast your bread upon the waters, for you shall find it after many days." And right now, that promise is speaking directly to you. I feel this deeply. Step forward in faith and let your giving become an act of obedience, not hesitation. The PayPal link in the description and the QR code on your screen are not just tools. They are gateways for your seed to multiply in unseen ways. As you release, heaven responds. As you give, doors begin to shift in your favor. So move now with certainty, and let your obedience unlock blessings that are already waiting to meet you. There is something you need to be aware of right now, something that often goes unnoticed, yet holds the power to either delay your breakthrough one last time or confirm that it is already here. Because just before everything fully shifts, just before your miracle becomes undeniable, there is often one final attempt to pull you out of alignment. And this attempt, it rarely looks like something obvious. It doesn't always come as a major obstacle or a dramatic disruption. Instead, it appears subtle, always harmless. It shows up as distraction and doubt, as something that feels familiar enough to pull your attention away, but not alarming enough for you to immediately reject it. That is why this moment requires awareness, because you are no longer in the phase of waiting. You are in the phase of receiving. And in this phase, your focus becomes everything. Think about what has been happening recently. The sudden thoughts that question your progress. The small frustrations that seem to arise out of nowhere. The unexpected situations that try to pull your energy back into old patterns. These are not random. They are the final echoes of what you have already moved beyond. Because when something is about to end, it often tries to reappear one last time. Not because it still has power over you, but because it is testing whether you have truly outgrown it. And this is where your growth becomes visible. Because the difference now is not in what appears, it is in how you respond to it. Before, these distractions may have pulled you in. They may have affected your mood, your mindset, your direction. But now, something is different. Now, you are able to see them for what they are. You are able to pause instead of react. You are able to recognize that not everything deserves your attention. That is your strength in this moment. Because the final attempt is not about stopping you. It is about seeing if you will stop yourself. It is about seeing if you will return to what you have already outgrown. It is about seeing if you will trade your clarity for confusion one last time. But you have come too far for that. You have moved through the waiting. You have endured the pressure. You have aligned yourself with where you are meant to be. And now, you are standing at the threshold. So this final distraction, it cannot hold you unless you give it your focus. And that is the key. Because your focus determines your direction. Where your attention goes, your energy follows. And where your energy flows, your reality begins to take shape. So if you allow yourself to be pulled back into doubt, into overthinking, into old emotional patterns, you temporarily slow the movement that is already unfolding. But if you remain grounded, if you stay aware, if you choose clarity over confusion, then nothing can interfere with what is already in motion. This is why this moment matters so much. Because it is not about proving anything anymore. It is about maintaining what you have already built within yourself. And that requires a simple but powerful choice to not go backwards. You do not need to fight anything. You do not need to resist forcefully. You simply need to not engage with what no longer belongs in your life. Let it pass. Let the thoughts come and go without attaching meaning to them. Let the distractions appear without giving them your energy. Let the old patterns try to surface, and then watch them fade when you no longer respond the way you used to. Because that is how you confirm your transformation. Not by what you avoid, but by how you remain steady when it appears. And as you do that, something powerful happens. The distractions lose their influence. The doubt loses its voice. The resistance dissolves completely. And what remains is clarity. Clear direction. Clear movement. Clear manifestation of everything that has been building. Because once this final attempt passes, there is nothing left to slow you down. Nothing left to hold you back. Nothing left to interfere with what is already unfolding. And that is when everything begins to move freely. That is when the breakthrough becomes undeniable. That is when your miracle steps fully into your reality. So stay aware in this moment. Stay grounded in what you already know. Stay focused on where you are going, not on what is trying to pull you back. Because this is not a setback. This is confirmation. Confirmation that you are right at the edge. Confirmation that the process is complete. Confirmation that what you have been waiting for is no longer waiting. It is here. Type "I stay focused" in the comments if you receive this message. Blessing code 9090 is now activated around your clarity. There is something you must fully realize now, something that has been quietly growing inside you throughout this entire journey, something that has been strengthened through every delay, every challenge, every moment of uncertainty. And that is this: you are not powerless in this process. You never were. In fact, the very thing you have been waiting for externally has been developing internally all along. Your authority, your awareness, your ability to choose your direction, regardless of what appears around you. Because for a long time, it may have felt like life was happening to you, like circumstances were dictating your experience, like you were reacting to what unfolded instead of shaping it. But now, that perspective is changing. Now, you are beginning to see that you are not just part of the process, you are a powerful force within it. And this is where everything begins to shift on a deeper level. Because activating your authority is not about controlling everything around you. It is about mastering what is within you. Your thoughts, your focus, your response to situations, your ability to remain aligned even when things are still unfolding. That is real power. And you have been building it without even realizing how significant it is. Every time you chose to keep going when it was easier to stop, you strengthened it. Every time you chose to stay grounded instead of reacting emotionally, you strengthened it. Every time you chose to trust yourself, even in uncertainty, you strengthened it. And now, that strength is ready to be used. Because what is coming next in your life will require you to stand in that authority fully. Not halfway, not with hesitation, but with clarity and confidence. Because opportunities will begin to appear. Decisions will need to be made. Moments will arise where you are asked to step forward without overthinking, without doubting, without shrinking back into old patterns. And in those moments, you will not need to look outside yourself for answers. You will already know. that knowing, that inner clarity, that calm certainty that is your authority. And it has been developed through everything you have experienced. But here is what you must understand clearly now: authority must be activated. It is not enough to have it. You must use it. You must choose to trust it. You must choose to act from it. Because if you hesitate, if you second guess, if you fall back into old ways of thinking, you temporarily disconnect from that power. Not because it disappears, but because you stop using it. And this is where your awareness becomes critical again. Because you are now at a point where you can either fully step into your power or continue to question it. But questioning it will not serve you anymore. You have already done the work. You have already grown. You have already proven to yourself that you can move through difficulty and come out stronger. Now, it is time to trust that fully, without hesitation, because your authority is not something you need to earn anymore. It is something you need to recognize. It is already within you. And the moment you begin to operate from that place, everything changes. Your decisions become clearer. Your actions become more intentional. Your energy becomes more focused. And your path becomes more defined. Because you are no longer reacting. You are choosing. And that is what allows your reality to align with your direction. Because the truth is this: your miracle is not just something that arrives. It is something you step into. It is something you align with through your actions, your mindset, your awareness. And now, you are in a position to do exactly that. You are no longer waiting. You are participating. You are no longer questioning. You are deciding. You are no longer hoping. You are knowing. And that shift is what activates everything. So step into it. Trust yourself. Trust the clarity that is forming. Trust the direction that is unfolding. Because you are not being guided randomly. You are being guided intentionally. And now, you have the power to move with it. This is your moment to stand fully in who you have become. Not the version of you that doubted. Not the version of you that hesitated. But the version of you that is clear, aware, and ready. Because that is who you are now. And that is who will carry you into what comes next. Type "I step into my power" in the comments if you receive this message. Blessing code 1010 is now activated around your authority. There is a moment, a powerful, undeniable moment when everything you have been sensing, everything you have been preparing for, everything you have been holding onto in faith finally becomes real in a way you cannot ignore. And that moment is no longer distant. It is not somewhere far ahead in time. It is approaching you now, step by step, with a certainty that cannot be reversed. Because the truth is this: once everything aligns, once the internal work is complete, once the resistance has dissolved it, the arrival of your miracle is no longer a question of if. It becomes a matter of when. And that when is now closer than it has ever been before. But here is what you need to understand about this moment: your miracle will not always look the way you imagined it. It may not arrive in the exact form you expected. It may not follow the timeline you once created in your mind. But when it comes, there will be no confusion about it. There will be a sense of clarity so strong, so undeniable, that you will recognize it instantly. Because it will align with who you have become. Not who you were. Not who you thought you needed to be. But who you are now. And that is why everything you have experienced up to this point matters so much. Because your awareness has changed. Your expectations have evolved. Your understanding of what truly serves you has deepened. So when your miracle arrives, you will not overlook it. You will not question it endlessly. You will not hesitate the way you once might have. You will recognize it. And you will step into it. But here is the part that most people are not prepared for when your miracle arrives. It often brings responsibility with it. Because transformation is not just about receiving something new. It is about maintaining it. It is about stepping into a new level of awareness, a new level of decision-making, a new level of consistency. And that is why you were prepared. That is why the waiting happened. That is why the pressure shaped you. Because now, you are capable of holding what is coming. And what is coming will require you to stay grounded in everything you have learned. Because opportunities will begin to appear in ways that demand action. Not hesitation. Not overthinking. Action. There will be moments where you are asked to say yes to something that aligns, even if it feels unfamiliar. Moments where you are asked to step forward, even if you do not have every detail figured out. Moments where you are asked to trust your clarity without needing constant validation. And those are the moments where your miracle fully takes shape. Because the arrival is not just one single event. It is a continuation, a flow, a series of aligned experiences that build upon each other, creating something that feels natural, yet powerful. And as it unfolds, you will begin to see how everything connects. The delays will make sense. The challenges will reveal their purpose. A path that once felt unclear will suddenly feel obvious. And you will realize something that changes everything. You were never as far away as you thought. You were always moving toward this moment. Even when it didn't feel like it. Even when it seemed like nothing was happening. Everything was leading you here. And now, you are here. At the point where your life begins to reflect everything you have been building internally. At the point where your reality begins to match your alignment. At the point where your miracle becomes something you can see, feel, and experience fully. So as this begins to unfold, remember this: do not rush it. Do not try to control every detail. Do not allow fear of losing it to interfere with receiving it. Stay present. Stay grounded. Stay connected to yourself. Because this is not something that can be taken away from you. This is something you have grown into. And that is what makes it real. That is what makes it lasting. That is what makes it yours. So step into it fully. Trust what is unfolding. Trust the direction. Trust yourself. Because what is arriving now is not temporary. It is the beginning of something stable. Something aligned. Something that reflects the work you have done and the person you have become. This is your moment. The arrival is here. Type "I accept my miracle" in the comments if you receive this message. Blessing code 1111 is now activated around your life. There comes a moment, a sacred, defining moment when you realize that everything has changed. Not just around you, but within you. A moment where the confusion that once clouded your path no longer has a voice. A moment where the waiting, the pressure, the questions all fade into the background, and what stands in front of you is clarity. This is that moment. You are no longer standing at the edge. You have crossed over. This is your new chapter. And it may not feel overwhelming at first. In fact, it may feel calm, grounded, steady. Because true alignment does not always arrive with noise. It arrives with peace. A quiet certainty that things are finally where they are meant to be. A sense of direction that does not require constant questioning. A knowing that you are exactly where you need to be, doing exactly what you are meant to do. This is what it means to walk in your promised season. Not a perfect life, but an aligned one. A life where your decisions come from clarity, not confusion. Where your actions come from confidence, not fear. Where your path feels natural, not forced. and most importantly, where you are no longer chasing what is meant for you, because it is already within your reach. You have become someone who can hold the season, someone who understands that growth does not stop here, but continues in a different way. Not through struggle, but through expansion. Not through resistance, but through flow. And that changes everything. Because now, you are not reacting to life. You are creating within it. Every decision you make from this point forward carries weight. Not pressure, but purpose. Because you are no longer moving blindly. You are moving with awareness, with intention, with a deep understanding of what aligns with you and what does not. And that is what protects this new chapter. Not fear of losing it, but clarity of maintaining it. Because you now know what it took to get here. You understand the value of your peace. You recognize the importance of your focus. You respect the growth that brought you into this moment. And because of that, you will not easily return to what you have already outgrown. This is not just a new beginning. This is a continuation of everything you have built, now visible in your reality. And as you move forward, there will be moments of expansion, new opportunities, and new experiences, new levels of growth that will stretch you in different ways. But this time, it will not feel like struggle. It will feel like progress, because you are no longer operating from uncertainty. You are operating from alignment, and that is what allows you to move forward with confidence. So embrace this chapter fully. Do not hold back. Do not question whether you deserve it. Do not shrink yourself to fit into old versions of your life. Step into it completely, because this is what you have been preparing for. This is what you have grown into. This is what you have aligned with, and now it is yours to walk in. Let this be the moment where you stop looking back and start moving forward with certainty. Let this be the moment where you trust yourself without hesitation. Let this be the moment where you fully accept that your life has shifted and it will not return to what it once was. Because you are no longer who you used to be. You are someone who has seen the process through. Someone who has moved through uncertainty and arrived at clarity. Someone who has stepped into a new level of awareness, strength, and direction. And that is what makes this chapter different. This is not temporary. This is transformation. To walk forward with confidence. Walk forward with trust. Walk forward knowing that what you have been waiting for has already begun. This is your season. This is your moment. This is your new chapter. Type "I walk in my promise" in the comments if you receive this message. Blessing code 1212 is now activated around your destiny. And as you step into this new chapter, hear this deeply: every seed you release becomes a river of light flowing into souls still searching for their breakthrough. This is not about supporting a channel. This is about advancing a divine mission that carries truth to those standing where you once stood. The word speaks alive in this moment. Those who sow in faith shall reap in abundance. And this is your appointed time to respond. I feel this clearly. This is your moment to act, not later, not eventually, but now. Use the PayPal link in the description or the QR code on your screen, and let your giving become a prophetic act that unlocks movement not only in others' lives, but in your own. As you release, heaven releases. As you give, doors open that no one can shut. Step forward in obedience and let your seed multiply beyond what you can see.